Okay, let's dive into this. Take a quick second and look at the device you're watching this explainer on right now. It really feels like yours, doesn't it? I mean, you customized the wallpaper, you picked out all the apps, the whole shebang. But beneath that sleek glass and metal, there's actually this entirely hidden architecture of control. It's a silent system that dictates exactly what you can and literally cannot do. So today, we're exposing that hidden foundation by exploring the fascinating and honestly deeply impactful world of free software. Right off the bat, I want you to genuinely consider a somewhat jarring question. Who really controls your computer? Is it you, or is it the program? It's a slightly uncomfortable thought, I know, but we really need to shatter this illusion of control right out of the gate. Because the core problem of our digital age boils down to this. When users don't control the software, the developer controls the users. They hold the keys, they set the limitations, and ultimately, you're basically just renting space in their digital house. So, to take back those keys, we first need to get crystal clear on a very specific definition. When we talk about free software, I want you to think of free as in free speech, not as in free beer. That's a super famous motif coined by programming pioneer Richard Stallman, and it's absolutely vital that we never ever confuse open access with zero cost. Free software isn't necessarily about snagging a freebie. It's entirely a matter of liberty and human rights in the digital space. Now, believe it or not, this locks-down reality we live in today wasn't always the norm. In fact, software sharing used to be the default. Back in the 1960s and 70s, programmers just naturally cooperated. They freely shared code because, well, they had to, just to make those early clunky machines work. But in the early 1980s, tech companies started closing their code, locking it away behind legal walls to sell as proprietary products. This completely shifted the landscape, which prompted Richard Stallman to fight back. In 1983, he announced the GNU project to build a completely free operating system, and then founded the Free Software Foundation in '85. Finally, in 1991, Linus Torvalds created the Linux kernel. That essentially completed the puzzle, giving the world a fully functional, totally free GNU/Linux operating system. So, what exactly makes a program free under this philosophy? Well, it all comes down to the exact mechanics of what's known as the four essential freedoms. Freedom 0, they start counting at 0, very programmer of them, is the baseline, the freedom to run the program as you wish, for any purpose at all. Freedom 1 is the freedom to study how the program works and modify it to suit your needs. Freedom 2 allows you to share copies to help your neighbors. And Freedom 3 is the freedom to share your modified versions with the entire community. Now pay super close attention to this detail. Freedoms 1 and 3 absolutely require you to have full access to the underlying source code. Without the code, you can't study it, and you certainly can't change it. And this brilliantly illustrates how these four rules practically empower both everyday users and developers. It creates this amazing self-sustaining cycle of continuous improvement, absolute transparency, and incredible community support. By guaranteeing these specific rights, the software becomes a living, adaptable tool that actually serves the user rather than just being a rigid set of instructions dictated by some distant corporation. Now, if you're pretty familiar with tech, you might be thinking right now, wait a minute, isn't this just open source? Well, there is a very important, kind of nuanced cultural divide here. Free software is an ethical philosophy. It's focused deeply on user freedom, civil liberty, and community values. Open source, which was introduced a bit later, is more of a practical methodology. It focuses on collaboration, business benefits, and, just writing better code. They usually refer to the exact same software, which we collectively call FOSS, or free and open source software, but they approach it from entirely different mindsets. Basically, free software asks what's right for the user, while open source asks what works best for the industry. The contrast becomes incredibly stark when we put FOSS and proprietary software head to head. With proprietary software, you're usually looking at high or recurring costs, constant data collection, and a black box security model where you basically just have to blindly trust the vendor. Plus, you get trapped by vendor lock-in and planned obsolescence. FOSS provides the exact opposite. You get transparent privacy, security that's actively audited by a massive global community, user-centric control, and indefinite longevity. The public visibility of FOSS completely dismantles that restrictive, hidden nature of proprietary black boxes. Let's anchor this philosophy in everyday reality. Just think about the smartphone you carry around in your pocket all day. Are you using Android or iOS? Android relies on an open core with heavy FOSS elements, so it's inherently flexible and highly customizable by the user. iOS, conversely, is a totally closed, proprietary ecosystem. It's a classic walled garden with strict vendor control where you play entirely by Apple's rules.
Understanding this makes the stakes highly relatable, right? Your daily digital experience, like what apps you can install and how your phone operates, is fundamentally defined by this philosophical divide.
And that real-world impact is absolutely crucial for you and your data. FOSS actively prevents you from getting locked in and forced into expensive, totally unnecessary software upgrades. Crucially, because the code is public and reviewed by thousands of people, it effectively avoids malicious features, spyware, and hidden backdoors. If a company tries to spy on you, the community is going to spot it in the code. And here's a pretty mind-blowing fact. Even if you've never knowingly installed a single piece of FOSS on your personal computer, the vast majority of the internet's servers run invisibly on free software right now. It creates massive economic benefits globally by ditching licensing fees, and it offers unparalleled educational benefits. Computer science students can actually read real, working, world-class code instead of just relying on dry theoretical textbooks. So we've spent decades establishing these protections, right? But the landscape is shifting under our feet once again. We have to face a new existential threat. As we enter the AI era, will these massive new models respect our hard-won software freedoms? The huge shift toward cloud computing and artificial intelligence really changes the game, primarily because the software doesn't just live locally on your hard drive anymore. To combat this new threat, the Open Source Initiative, or OSI, has established clear guidelines defining what true freedom looks like in AI, and it goes way beyond just releasing a fun little chatbot for the public to play with. To be truly open, an AI requires the exact same foundational freedoms to use, study, modify, and share. But as we know, AI is incredibly complex. To actually exercise those freedoms, the OSI dictates that developers must provide access to three critical things: the training data, the source code, and the model weights. Without all three of those pieces, the community literally cannot truly understand, audit, or modify the system. So the crucial point is, you absolutely have to beware of open washing. This is a growing and frankly highly deceptive trend where tech companies loudly claim an AI model is open source, but then, buried deep in the fine print, they restrict commercial use or keep the training data entirely hidden from the public. A prime example of this is Meta's Llama. While it's been heavily marketed as an open system, it fundamentally lacks true software freedom because critical components are restricted. It provides the illusion of openness without actually granting any real liberty to the user. Which brings us to our final, lingering thought for this explainer. If code dictates what you can and cannot do in the digital age, who are you allowing to write those rules? Seriously, take a hard look at your phone, your laptop, and especially the new AI tools you're inviting into your daily workflow. Are you the master of your technology, or are you just a guest in a corporate walled garden? Understanding the foundations of free software isn't just nerdy tech trivia, it's about claiming your digital autonomy. Keep questioning that hidden architecture around you.